SBN, Sports Business Now.
SBN is a division of Row 27, the digital sports marketing company, celebrating 5 years of creating TV spots, intro videos, and microsites for over 150 teams. See our work at row27.com. And by FanMaker, digital marketing tools for sports teams, featuring FanMaker Rewards, the most comprehensive and popular fan loyalty and rewards system. Learn more about our apps at fanmaker.com.
SBN, Sports Business Now.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Sports Business Now Live. I'm Holly Koski, and SBN Live is a weekly wrap-up show where we talk about all of the latest news in the sports business industry. And today I have Jason Cole and Max Huber along with me, just like always. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Doing well. It's glad to be here once again.
Good.
Thanks for having me back. I can't believe
you're still here.
I know, it's pretty much a guarantee now, so. Hello, Jason.
Hello, Holly.
How's it going?
Going
and
well.
if you guys haven't noticed, we have a really great new set, very snazzy. Still in the works. We're almost done, but it looks great so far, and our team has done a really great job of putting it together. So,
thank you, Carter Dusing. Much
yes,
appreciated.
Exactly. So let's start off here with some sports business news here. Gary Vaynerchuk was actually on our show yesterday. Some of you probably know him as the wine guy or the social media guru. But regardless, he's worked with a ton of sports teams, including the Nets, the Jets, and the NFL with his group VaynerMedia. And we talked about what he thinks is going to be the next big thing in sports. And he really believes Google Glass is going to kind of revolutionize sports consumption. And if you aren't familiar with Google Glass, it's Google's next best thing you're wearing glasses that are almost like, I don't know how to explain it.
It's kind of like a heads-up display like you would see in a sci-fi movie. I know we're running a video right now that shows it off. I absolutely can't wait for this type of stuff to become a little bit more prevalent. The fact that they're able to take the functionality that's inside of this and have it wearable on your face is really neat. So, I mean, it kind of has two drastic... I mean, looking at Google's item right now, you can see how many sporting events, if you watch that entire video, are actually included in there, whether it be skydiving, snowboarding, what have you. But it really is going to be kind of two ways.
Yep.
I mean, you can do a live video stream from your glasses hooked into a Google Plus Hangout of what's going on to your friends. On the other piece, with the heads-up display they have, is you can be watching a game or at an NFL game and say, hey, bring up the stats for Anquan Bolden, and have his player profile start running through your field of vision. Mm-hmm. And that type of thing is incredible, in my opinion, just as a fan, yet alone being able to get the heads-up look that you would have for the players. And it's kind of, I kind of look at it as like GoPro on steroids a little bit.
Yep.
And it's amazing that Gary Vee brought that up, because I've been telling my wife that I want a pair of these for like 6 months, and Sergey Brin started wearing them around in public.
$1,500.
$1,500 right now. I mean, their consumer version, I imagine, is going to have about a $1,000 price point to start. But you have to remember, think of where the iPhone was in 2007 and what a brick of a device it was at that point in time.
Right.
And this is sort of the front end of that same revolution, where we're looking at the end of 2013, beginning of 2014, where you're going to see multiple companies entering this wearable space in different capacities. The patent filings that are out there for heads-up displays, I mean, Google has their own type, Apple has their own Prism, Samsung has 2 or 3 that I've seen come across. So it's a really exciting trend, I think, over the last half of this decade that we're going to see.
I was going to mention the GoPro thing. Like you said, it's like GoPro on steroids. Instead of having and attaching the camera to your helmet, or when I ran the Disney Marathon, people carrying it on a stick, you're going to
Which looks moronic.
It did, because they would sit there and they're running and they've got this thing on a
Doing
stick.
that for 26 miles sounds miserable.
It sounds awful, but having this and you get that actual first-hand look where somebody has on their glasses. I mean, like you said, if you're running the marathon in it or doing something, you can bring up the news, or you can bring a Google Hangout, and you can actually have a hangout with somebody while you're running 26.2 miles. It's absolutely absurd, but amazing at the same time.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Like, think about coaching an athlete from across the entire across the world even. Like, you can go ahead and have them in your heads-up display while you're doing the workout, and they'll see exactly what you see while you're doing it. That's a personal training sort of on steroids there.
Especially for some of these major coaches that handle all sorts of different runners or extreme athletes, and maybe they're with an athlete at an event here, they can still be in constant communication with them, even to the point where they are practicing, like you said. It's crazy, and I don't know. I watched that video, and just the fact that it seems like something that you would see in a movie that's 20 years from now, and you're just like, what is going on?
Well, I mean, you look back at the science fiction stuff from the 50s and 60s. I mean, the transponders they were using are an awful lot like iPhones or Samsung devices today. I think it really is just sort of the next evolution of tech. I mean, you'll have an earpiece and a little heads-up display on your eye, and you'll be able to do everything that we do right now on our smartphone devices. And granted, that's probably 5, 6, maybe 7 years out, but it's
Kinda
starting to
scary.
happen, and it's...
You know what this could be
I'm
huge?
giddy, but I'm also kind of a geek about that stuff.
Yeah.
What this could be huge for is all-star type events, whether it's the slam dunk contest, whether it's the home run contest. Somebody has these glasses on. They've got a Google Hangout going on at that same time. So LeBron James, when he gets his $1 million from Magic Johnson, he goes up and he dunks the ball. He's going to be able to communicate with all these different people. They're going to get that firsthand view of him flying through the air, slamming it down, or Ryan Howard after he takes a swing in the home run derby. People are going to see exactly what he sees.
Yeah. Think about referees and umpires using this for instant replay fees. I mean, I think Gary Vee was really onto an exciting trend or an exciting concept there, and I think sports will be one of the very first places to sort of see this technology take off.
I know referees have definitely experimented with cameras on their hat, whether it be like on their ear or something like that. So that's, I can't believe that, a dunker hasn't set up a mini cam of, like a head cam of their own during the slam dunk competition, because I feel like that would win it, no doubt, especially if he did a Google Hangout. But Recon, it's a brand called Recon, could be a competitor to Google Glass, as they're more designed for the athlete in mind. So it looks like a pair of rugged sunglasses, like mountain biking, climbing, or anything like kind of a more rugged atmosphere.
I would be literally shocked if we don't see both Under Armour and Nike aggressively move into this space as we approach 2015. If you just look at the applications that you're putting on devices right now, I think you're going to move to having devices that are embedded into clothing, devices that are wearable by the athlete to track performance to a much greater degree than even what we have in place right now. And that should be really exciting on the sports front. Also, just on the general consumer front, you're going to see the exact same competition that we've had over the smartphone industry over this last decade really sort of take off and transform, I think, over the next decade as you move into wearables. And what manufacturers are on the cutting edge there are the ones that are really going to be winning that race.
With Recon, it looks like what they're trying to target is the snowboarders, things like that, where it hooks right into their goggles. Like you said, it's a little more rugged, but gives people that firsthand experience. It's pretty neat.
Right. Moving on to some more tech news. If you haven't heard already, Facebook has just redesigned their news feed. Pretty drastic changes in terms of pictures being that much bigger, and now there's different feeds. So you can have a friends only feed. You can have what they call following feed, where it just shows the companies and the celebrities you're following. So kind of interesting. They're really trying to take down the clutter, because a lot of consumers or people on Facebook have complained that my timeline is cluttered. What can I do to really filter it out? And this is a solution for that. But it also has kind of a huge impact potentially on brands and teams trying to get their message out to their fans, because it requires for the fan to do a whole nother step to see their feed if let's say they're in the friends only feed, and then to move to the following feed.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at what Zuckerberg said, I think about 2 years ago, he referred, it's become known as sort of Zuckerberg's law instead of Moore's law, that every year you're seeing twice as much content being shared by people online. And you have to find ways to sort that. I think Facebook's been under a lot of criticism for the EdgeRank algorithms they put into place over the last 6 months. And that's understandable when people are putting so much effort into social, and then suddenly they have half as many viewers. But this is a really unique take. I watched this press conference. I thought it was great and a great way to approach it. It reminded me a lot of how Google Plus, when it launched, was having us organize people in our life by how we know them. So we can have certain content go to our friends, colleagues, family in different capacities. And that might make sense, but when you actually are interfacing with a social network, it's not how I know the people near as much as what the content is on how I want to interface with that feed. So I think this is brilliant. I think it'll make Facebook a much more usable, much more modern, and I'm really excited to actually have it rolled out to for my personal usage.
So you're going to be an early adopter and get that.
Facebook's going to choose who's an early adopter.
Well, you could opt in right now if you want.
I'm going to do that right now.
All right. Sounds good.
So now he's not going to pay attention to the rest of the show.
You have at least 30
Maybe
seconds.
that might have been a mistake on my part.
I think, just the visually stimulating aspect of it, people don't like to read. People want short, sweet, to the point. When they're able to see that imagery and know exactly what they're looking at and what this brand or message is, I think that's the way things are going, and that's what people want on their news feed is bright, shiny, new. They don't want to have to read through an entire. You get bored. Like, I look at the script and I'm like, I can't read that much. It's so much wording.
No, in my opinion, one of the reasons you've seen Instagram take off, or people that, like myself, who will have a ton of lists on Twitter that I subscribe to or that I sort of content through. I'm sorting the content I want to consume so I can go consume it, and this allows Facebook and brands and individuals to go ahead and do that now. So if you want to see photos, you have a photo feed. If you want to see businesses I'm following and or sports teams I'm following, I have that feed, and I think that's going to have a lot of value and utility, and it will cut down the amount of impressions that people might be getting inside of their feed, but it will do so in a way that's, I think, understandable to people. And by making it understandable, both from a brand, a company, or a user perspective, I don't think they're going to have near the backlash.
Absolutely. And, going back to what Gary Vee said yesterday, he was kind of he probably knew some of these things, but from what he said, it was almost like he was telling the future, honestly. But it really makes, these teams more accountable for the content that they put out, making it stand out, whether that be through pictures, video, or some other medium like that. So it really is almost in the best interest for these teams to really invest a lot. Like Gary Vee said yesterday, and he was all about, giving, and that content is really king.
I have nothing more intelligible to add. You've covered it.
Sounds good. I like that transition.
Yes.
And going further on the tech atmosphere, Spike TV launched a new app where it lets the fan keep the score of the fights. It's called the Bellator, and it's really a great app. You can track fight analytics as well as score rounds over 26 categories. So while they won't affect the fight outcome, they can have their voice heard, which could have been very beneficial to the Manny Pacquiao
A little bit, yeah.
fight where it was in question a little bit. So what do you guys think about this new app by a television network nonetheless?
I like it. It's probably in conjunction with there's Bellator, kind of the second tier below UFC. They're moving over to Spike, and they're really trying to take a chunk out of that UFC brand. They are actually, speaking of Bellator, they just bought a ton of ad space on UFC's television productions, whether it's the UFC Ultimate Fighter, whether it's UFC production. Bellator is trying to do everything they can, and this is going to engage that fan, give them that aspect that maybe they make a difference or that they're going to see their name on the screen. So they're engaging that fan and giving them an opportunity to get involved with the
Right.
match.
Well, I think one of the best things about this is how do you score a UFC fight or a Bellator match? I mean, do either of you know?
No,
No
I have
clue.
no idea.
I mean, this is a great fan training tool on how you actually score, because it's very transparent, you know, in baseball, basketball, football, how points are scored. One of the struggles you have when you're trying to bring in new fans to a sport or have people out there is how do you win? And, well, it's obvious in fighting if I knock the guy unconscious or he taps out, I win. But when you have a technical decision, it's very confusing sometimes. You can have some guy who's bloodied to a pulp, but, you know, won on points throughout the round.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how that's scored, that's going to be difficult. And that's one of the coolest things I saw when I downloaded this app was
Oh, you downloaded it.
That was, yeah. That was something that was kind of being taught to a fan, or that they would learn based upon interactions with other fans.
It's going to have 26 different categories, so fans, like you said, will get that complete understanding of what they're dealing with. And sure, you're going to have fans that are just a homer for somebody, and they're going to score it their own way. But it's not just, hey, he pounded this guy's face this many times. You know, it's going to give them a different feel. And I don't know, it'll be interesting to see if Bellator can gain a stronger foothold in the whole MMA world with this.
Right, and you know, it's cool because they can bring, you know, these results on air in their discussions. So the commentators can talk about, okay, the fans feel this way, and, you know, it's just another source of content for them. So really cool idea, and I like that Spike TV brought it out as well. And speaking of UFC, MMA, UFC's home is on Fox, and Fox has just created a new network, Fox Sports 1. Really trying to become a competitor of the worldwide leader of sports, ESPN, and even NBC Sports Network. So very big news. This will be launching in August of this year. And, you know, it'll be great because they have the whole arsenal that Fox has. So NASCAR, MLB, college basketball, college football, of the Pac-12, Big 12, maybe a little Catholic 7 in there as well. Soccer and
go ahead, it's
UFC.
official. You can go ahead and call them the Big East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Catholic 7 a little more.
Sounds better.
But yeah, so this is huge, as they're charging probably $1 per subscriber in contrast to ESPN. That's $5.15, which is absurdly expensive. But it, you know, this is, I think, will be
What are you going to do if
great.
you're a cable provider and not have ESPN?
Right. I mean,
There's nothing you can really do.
right.
I think this is really intriguing. I mean, if you look at the three players that are in this market, you basically have Comcast, which owns NBC Universal, pushing out this network where they're charging Comcast cable competitors for the carriage fees. How does that all work? And if you look at the content NBC has, I mean, people at ESPN openly joke about it as the Outdoor Life Network because it is Olympic sports. It's not your typical sports. If you look
Right.
at News Corp as a whole, I mean, if you remove ESPN from Disney, News Corp itself right now without a sports network is as large as the remaining part of Disney. From a revenue standpoint, almost as large from an asset standpoint when you don't count land. So it's going to be very interesting. Plus, because of Fox or News Corp's ownership by the Murdoch family, they've historically been extraordinarily aggressive. If you look at what one of the things they locked up on a multi-decadal deal is Indian Cricket League.
Yeah.
Like, they're the home for cricket internationally, and they own the satellite channels that broadcast that channel and that content. So they've been very, very aggressive on this global scale, more so than even ESPN or Disney, inside the sports marketplace. And
Rupert Murdoch aggressive?
Never. But it's been, 15 years, something in the article, since he first tried, or they've first been experimenting with, and they have 22 regionals.
Yep.
Will own up to 80% of the Yankees Yes Network inside the next 3 years. I mean, they're making a very, very big play here, and they can afford at a $1 carriage to go ahead and be in the game. I mean, ESPN didn't start off in 1981 at $5.15 per month. ESPN started off as next to nothing and has grown over time. They've grown significantly since even the launch of the Big Ten Network 10 years ago, when they're around $3 a month. So it's going to be really interesting to watch these wars happen. And the owners of content, the leagues, the teams, it's heyday. They're going to be making, I mean, we think they are making a lot of money now. With this increased competition, they're going to be making even more.
And moving on to our NASCAR
Yeah.
and motorsports guy, you know, they took over the Speed Channel
Yep.
and everything like that. So what are your opinions on this?
I think it's great. The more content, the better. It will be interesting to see how things work because Speed has always carried Cup qualifying and things like that. So now with all these other avenues that are going to be on there, it'll be interesting to see who actually gets that spot. You know what I mean? Because for some of the smaller things, or if it's a large baseball game, maybe they'll take that spot over. So it'll be interesting to see how Fox kind of spreads things around and what games they keep on just the normal Fox station, what goes on to this. They're going to have a lot of content to fill. It's, being a 24-hour network. Obviously, with the teams that they have, they'll be able to do it, and bringing Regis Philbin in, I mean, that's huge. Everybody likes the Philb.
The film.
What would really be interesting is if they made a play for Notre Dame football, since its contract is up next year, and having Philbin in, I mean, that would make sense.
Immediate tie-in right there.
Yeah.
He's a huge Notre Dame fan.
Yeah, huge Notre Dame homer, if you will.
Yes.
That would really frost NBC's cookies.
That'd be kind of funny. I don't know if you look at Fox. If I read the article right, they have a 1 and a 2. So Speed is 1. I don't know what channel they're turning over with the 2. Then they also have FX that they've been pushing sporting content onto, mainly looking at a younger male demographic. And for almost the entire country, there's at least one Fox Sports network. So right away, for as far as the amount of places to put things, they're on par with ESPN.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially
they
for
have
baseball.
3 networks, plus they'll have the ability to stream, like out of the gate.
Yep.
That's not something NBC is set up to do at this point.
The thing that they might get a little sticking point for people like me, that I just have bunny ears at home. I'm not tapped into any Comcast or any sort of dish network, so I only get certain channels. I get Fox, but I will not be getting this Fox Sports 1.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting for myself. It means I'll spend more money at bars, I guess, going to watch games. But that's for another day, another topic, I guess.
Well, speaking of, bars, the whole NFL conversation is really applicable with this too, because, while Fox Sports 1 doesn't have rights, especially to broadcast NFL, they are going to have a network called Fox Football Daily, which is just a daily show with, some of their guys from the morning show on Sundays. So that will be, interesting to see if that competes with like the NFL Today, I believe, on
Fox has always
ESPN.
Fox has always been really good about no matter if they're doing papers in Fiji or if they're doing getting NFL rights like they did 20 years ago, really attacking things from a different way and targeting demographics in a different manner, and everything they've done. So I think it will probably feel very different than ESPN, and it'll be interesting to see sort of what the consumer reaction is to that.
For sure. Well, thank you guys for some great insights on tech and breaking news within the industry. And thank you as well for joining in. You can check us out online at sportsbusinessnow.com or tweet at us at SBNow. We'll see you next week.
SBN.
No BBN.
Sports Business Now.